The pest control industry is like no other. If you want to learn the strategy and tactics to grow your pest control business, you're in the right place. This is the Pesty Marketing Podcast.
Hey, Morgan. Hey, Jason. How's it going?
How's it going?
It's good. It's good. Yeah. Excited to have you on, Jason. We've been working together for a couple months now, and are about to launch the new website coming up. But on this podcast, what we want to talk about is how to scale a pest control company, right? And so you've been operating premium termite and pest control for 10 years now, but you've been in the game for longer than that. So can you give us a little bit of context around your industry clout and the experience that you're bringing to this conversation?
Cloud, I don't know if you'd call it that, but I'll tell you the history, the genealogy, if you will.
You're an important guy.
Impotent, yeah, I get it. I think, and I tell this story frequently, honestly, because it's a good story, has carryovers, I feel like, to all business and life in general, maybe, but the dates are kind of confused in my brain. So don't hold me to the dates, but I'll tell you the story anyway. So I think I got in the industry, how old am I now? I'm 48. So let's say 25 years ago, I was working for Clark Pest Control in Lancaster. And pretty quickly I became a supervisor, and they gave me such areas as Barstow, if anybody knows where Barstow is, where we service Fort Irwin, where you had to drive like 100 miles in the middle of nowhere to these big giant antennas where they communicate with spaceships and all kinds of stuff. But it was fun. But about, I'd say 5 years into that, computers had just started coming out, and I found this incredible thing called Excel. And I started doing some numbers in Excel, and I go, I think we were charging like $65 bi-monthly back then. And I go, well, let's see if I add $65 bi-monthly this month, that's $650. And then 2 months later, I do it. Now I have $1,300. And then 2 months later, I do it again. Now I have $1,900. Anyway, you do the math. And so I was going to be a millionaire by the time I was 27. And little did I know. So I took the leap, started my first company 20-ish years ago now, I guess. And grew that. It was local in the Lancaster, Antelope Valley area. And we had, I think I had 3 or 4 route techs. And I'm one of these fellas that gets bored pretty easy. In fact, I'm surprised I've been in this game for 10 years. And actually, we're changing things. So I think I'm going to be here a lot longer. But I grew it and sold it. And we just did pest control. We didn't do termites, 2 different licenses in California. My buddy my best friend owned a termite company. And so when I sold my pest control company, his business partner, who is his ex-father-in-law, was retiring, and I bought his equity. And right before I come on board, and once I tell this story, everybody will know who this company is, even though I won't say it. We were he had just started marketing orange oil on the radio. And so what we did was we went to different AM radio DJs. So if you're local, Bill Handel, John and Ken, Dr. Laura, a whole bunch of them. And they would go on for 1 minute. We'd pay them $3,000 to talk for 1 minute about how orange oil is the best thing since sliced bread. You don't have to move out. You don't have to board your pets, all this other stuff. And man, from the day he did that, I kid you not, have you ever seen the drag races where the lights go up like this? That was the phones in the office, and they never quit. They never quit.
That's funny.
Not just the phones rang off the hook, but when you showed up to sell the termite job, you were referred by Bill Handel. It was order taking. And not just that, but we raised, I think, maybe the average termite job was, I don't know, let's say $1,000 back then. We doubled it, and it was still order taking.
So I think the lesson there, one of the lessons there is like, that's kind of you hear about influencer marketing now, right? And it's a lot of social media influencers, but radio hosts, especially locally, were kind of the influencers, or much more so, a while back. And so you guys used the power of the trust and credibility that those guys had. And you just got your message out there to everyone. So if you're someone local and you're listening to each of these people just all talk about the same thing, then you go, okay, maybe I need to look into this.
Yeah. By the way, there's a second lesson in there, which is sometimes you double your prices and the customers don't go away. Yes, that's a good lesson. We're scared to do it today because I live in Signal Hill and I drive out my door. I drive down my street and I see 62 ships in the bay there that have all of our chemicals on board. I have a feeling, but anyway, he put Orange Oil on the radio. I came in right after, I think it was a month after I came in. So I was right on the coattails of this thing launching. And we grew that company. And I would say my strength was operations. He was a great visionary. I was a great operations, but not great. I don't want to say great, but I understood operations enough to get the work done. We grew that company, and here again, it's all a fog, right? Let's say we were doing a couple $1 million a year when I started. Well, fast forward 3 or 4 years, we're doing $15 million. We went from 20-ish employees to, 120 employees in 3 or 4 years, from whatever trucks on the street to 60 or however many trucks on this, just massive, massive growth. And then came 2008. And I remember the meetings. And I have so many talks with people, business owners, about now versus then. I would take now 100 times versus one then, because that was hell. What made it hell in particular as compared to now, let's say? I couldn't put my finger on that, quite honestly, but I just know the internal feeling was totally helpless. And that's common. I network with a bunch of different business owners, and that's just not a pest control thing. I think that's because not only we were losing our businesses, we were losing our homes. And I think when you start affecting the house,
investment, right? All the money that you have poured into those.
Everything, the roof over your head, you're so vulnerable, we were vulnerable. So,
and correct me if I'm wrong, but another difference too is, we really went through sort of a V-shaped recovery with this pandemic. And since people were working from home, I know with some of my clients, they experienced actually a big increase in sales and new business, because if you're at home and you're looking around and all of a sudden you notice all the bugs, or your kids are spending more time in the yard and you have those black widows you haven't dealt with in a while. Was that the case for you guys? Did you feel kind of maybe after an initial shock, much of an increase, or did it just kind of stay the same or go back to normal?
It's funny. Year over year, yes, we had an increase, but still anticipated more based on, you're right. So March of 20, whenever it was, when the bottom fell out. Yeah, we got hit hard and did all, panic mode, applied for the PPP and told everybody, hey, we don't know what the future looks like, blah, blah, blah. I had all those conversations that I think a bunch of us had. But shortly thereafter, we popped out and we had a decent 2020. It was better than 2019, and 2021 is better than 2020. But based on 2020, we thought 2021 was going to be better than it actually is turning out to be. And now even the fear going forward is, call it the news. And I've tried to tune out of it, but you still hear it. There's still a lot of unanswered questions out there about what the future holds. Anyway, my partner, I don't know if he had that company for 15 or 20 years, but anyway, I bought in and let's say, here again, unknown exactly the time frames, but let's say it was 5 years I was there, and that fourth year was 2008. Let's say we had 120 employees. And we had the tough conversations with ourselves, with our executive team. What do we do? Do we let people go? Anyway, we made the decision to not let people go. So we go from doing 15 million in 2008 with 120 employees to doing 7.5 million in 2009 with 120 employees. So obviously the writing was on the wall. We didn't make the right moves quick enough, but I tell you all that to tell you this, the big takeaways. I call it the perfect storm. And we ended up losing that company. We got behind to a 3-letter entity that starts with an I and ends with an S. And they say they don't call. I was the CFO of the company. They say they never call. Guess what? If it's big enough, they call.
Yeah.
So we got behind, and we got the call from field agent so-and-so, and we all got together. We needed about $250,000, and we went and found it, but it was the beginning of the end. Everything started to unravel. Anyway, the company's gone, and but there was 3 huge lessons. One huge lesson, but the perfect storm was 3 things. Number one is we were just kind of undisciplined termite guys. You know, him finding orange oil was like, honestly, finding the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Mm-hmm. You know, they say the hockey stick. Well, it was the beginning of the hockey stick. So that's number one. Number 2, totally out of our.
Wait. On number 1, I don't. What is the lesson that you would extract from that?
No, there's no lesson there. It's the perfect. I'm going to tell you what was
the 3 factors of the perfect storm.
Of the perfect storm, correct.
Got it.
The undisciplined termite guys who would,
yes,
you know, we had a lot of fun being undisciplined, though. Believe me, it was a ton of fun. Like regrets, I don't know, you know, but we had a lot of fun, more fun than we should have. Number 2.
We can do another X-rated version of the podcast where you can share those stories.
Yeah, it's at least PG-13 if the economy, part 2, second part of the perfect storm, totally out of our control. But this is the one, and this is the one that we bring here today, and this is the one that we shout from the mountaintops. And as we grow to different areas, that we will teach our different managers and just everybody. It's called Packard's Law, and there's different variations of it. But how I say it is, you cannot grow your company faster than your ability to hire and train the right people. And so if you're growing a pest control company, take that advice to heart. We are in an industry that we're going to have work. If you want to have work in the pest control industry, there's varied degrees of it, but you can find the work. It's doing the work that becomes the problem. And so those 3 things, we were at the end, you know, here was our interview process. Do you have a pulse? Oh, yeah, you're good. Get out there. And, you know, never intentional. What we didn't know how to do was say no. And that's it's even hard to teach my staff now. And we're like the tortoise right now. We're slow growing, you know, like that's our thing. But it's hard when people are panicked. They have a rat, whatever they have. I would rather say no, let them go to our competitor if need be, right? You can wait to get us. And sometimes that's a day and sometimes that's a week. And for varied things, sometimes it's a couple of weeks, but whatever it is, go ahead.
Understood. I have a question. I think you are right in theory. And I think a lot of us know that you're right in theory. The hard part comes in practice. You know, I should say no, but it's like, boy, someone wants to pay me $5. It's emotionally really hard to turn down.
Very difficult
to say no.
Very difficult. Money.
So
very
how
difficult.
Do you? So you understand this lesson intellectually, but how do you enforce it emotionally, basically?
Constant reinforcement to our staff. Constant. For me, it's easy. I've got it down, right? Like if I have to say no. But even our office staff who are, you know, hourly or salary, whatever case may be, but they're still passionate about growing our company. And the paradigm, their paradigm is, money, you know, if I bring that money in, no matter how we get it, it's good. But that's not the case. So it's constant. And you know what? They'll call me or Joey, my partner, and, you know, hey, could we do this? And every single time we capitulate, it bites us in the behind. Every time. We had one the other day where it was kind of outside of our service area and, but this customer's used us before and we capitulated and I just wrote him a $300 check because some other, just whatever, that's whatever happened, but we definitely didn't make any money on that gig.
One way I deal with this emotional struggle of saying no is by setting policies and defining them. And like, even if they're arbitrary, like even if like an arbitrary rule, we just don't do this period, and like enforcing it like as though it's, Moses with the 10 commandments, handing it down.
Yeah, I think so I'll give you an example of that in our company is, we're a termite company and we built in the beginning, real estate was the natural place to go, right? Because, well, back then, not today, a whole different world today. Termite isn't even part of a real estate conversation, but back 10 years ago, basically everybody thought termite had to be done for a real estate transaction. And so we did everything including termite damage repair. Well, I never was a contractor. I started this company and literally we would get jobs for repairs and we were on YouTube the day before going, okay, how do you disassemble this patio and put it back together type of thing. And, but never once did we make any substantial amount of money profit-wise doing repairs. And it was always the thing that we would talk about more than anything was that job's not going to get, where are we going to fit that? Because it's not going to get done today. We think it's a 1-day job, but then you start tearing stuff up and it's a 3-day job, and it was constant. So we made the decision that is not our cup of tea. We do minor patching and that's about it. We don't swing hammers anymore. We don't rappel off of 3rd-story roofs. We just said, we'll leave that to people that's their gig. We kill the bugs. And so that's a hard and fast. That's non-negotiable. But I think, Morgan, to argue your point, it's not because there are things that are non-negotiable in our company, but it's not those things that that's not the hard part saying no about. That's easy. The hard part is, can we squeeze something in here? Oh, come on. It's for, Mrs. Smith and no, we just can't. We can't. It's not doing her any good and it's not doing our team any good.
Yeah. And I think that's a good lesson for that's totally applicable to pest control and even outside of pest control. If you're ever running a services company and people look at you as a services company, they feel like there's leeway. You would never buy a product, go back to the manufacturer and say, hey, can you tweak this thing? this product isn't quite how I want it, or this one time. You just buy it off the shelf, and that you take what you get, or you get what you get what you buy. And with service businesses, I think that's a real struggle. You want to provide 5-star service, and you think that what that means is being flexible. But what it means is sticking to your guns and doing it really, really well and consistently every time.
Yeah. I say you don't go to McDonald's to get an enchilada.
Exactly. Exactly. So what I would like to jump into is some things that are tactical, specifically around growth.
Actually,
go ahead, Morgan.
Andrew, I want to interrupt. And before we jump into that, I have a quick question on a tangent based on what you said. You threw out in passing 10 years ago to sell a home that used to do the termite check and elimination, but now you don't. I'm 10 years behind. I didn't know this had changed. So I'm just curious to know why is the termite elimination no longer part of getting a new home?
So it is sometimes, don't get me wrong, but here's the market today. If a seller, it's typically on the hook for termite, right? If it's part of the conversation, but you have a seller who has, 60 offers, right? 30 of them are all cash. 9 of them are asking for termite and one isn't. Which one are you going to take?
I see. Yeah. So it's
the market's so hot that they don't,
got it.
And you know what? We've lost some good customers, and hate to see you go, but it reminds me of the story of Herb Kelleher in Southwest when the gal got offended by the how the stewardess, they have fun with all the safety announcements and everything, and somebody took offense to it, and Rob heard Kelleher, hey, I really took offense to the safety announcements, and he wrote her back, you will be missed.
Mm-hmm. That is a very direct way to handle that situation.
I love it.
He's not gonna change the way they do their have fun in the cabin.
Sure.
Yeah.
You are an old school man. In the new world of 2021 we live in, a lot of people are scared of there ever being one unhappy person anywhere ever.
Oh no, I'm scared to death. No, I'm that is a big fear I have. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think you make them mad when you explain to them you don't provide a service and why. I think you make them mad if you pretend you can do a service and then you get out there and you destroy a house or something. That's when you make them mad.
So let's dive into this for a second. It's interesting that you mentioned that you're scared to death of being angry. Like, are you scared about like lots of people complaining about you in social media and that sort of thing?
I say the word scared half-heartedly, but Yelp is our number one lead source, and so just know that the Yelp world we live in today, or Google review, whatever it is, Yelp, Google, our number one is Yelp, but I know Google's very powerful too, but maintaining that 5-star presence. I've heard people say, 4.5 proves that you're a human. Well, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I want to provide 5-star service across the board always. That's our goal. So
okay, that interesting, makes sense. Andrew, back to the question I interrupted you from.
Yeah, and you sort of alluded to it, Jason. So you said that Yelp is your number one. Were you saying Yelp is the number one marketing channel right now? And has that been the case for the last 10 years?
No, not 10 years. No, last few years, I'd say. Handful of years.
What was it before then?
Customer referrals, networking, knocking on doors. I'm in a BNI chapter. I don't know if anybody's familiar with BNI, but I drank the Kool-Aid many, many years ago. We have a powerful chapter. We passed like $3 million a year. So I'm a believer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So BNI early on was helpful. And then you said knocking doors. Was that commercial, or were you guys going out to residential areas? And was that you knocking doors, or did you have your technicians knock on nearby doors when they would service a home?
In the beginning, and probably the genesis of everything was real estate. So it's funny. So I joined the BNI chapter, and our realtor at the time, or the realtor that was in there, had just left his brokerage house to join a local Keller Williams that had just opened up. And it just so happens at the same time, his termite company of 10 years started treating him like, not the way he felt he should be treated. And so here I am, a brand new operator. And that first job we got from that realtor, we had so much time on our hands. Like, we did the job of all jobs, right? Like, we spent probably 3 times the amount of time we had to there. And it was funny. It was termites. They had a raccoon in the attic. We don't do raccoons. The raccoon had been taken out, but there was feces all over the attic. So we did a number on this property. We turned it around. And he was impressed, rightfully so. I mean, and so, however, a couple of weeks later, he goes, "Hey, Jason, I want you to come meet with our CEO and sit down and talk. We have a program we're going to start." And I went and met with his CEO, and we had lunch. And he says, "We're starting this preferred vendor program, where basically you're the only termite guy that can go in and out the back door of our shop." Fast forward a few years later, that little tiny Keller Williams office became the biggest in Long Beach, threefold its closest competitors, 300 agents. And here I am, the only termite guy that can walk in the back door. So how we built our company, I think if it wasn't for tacos from Boyle Heights, which is East LA, we wouldn't be talking today. So there's this taco truck in East LA called Moriscos Cuatro Vientos. And they sell the most incredible shrimp taco. They're just, I don't know, they're just unique, right? Unique flavor. And so when they had their monthly meeting, I would go to East LA and pick up 100 shrimp tacos and cut them in half because they're, big, had to make finger food. And I'd bring them to that meeting. And so, at that time, hundreds of realtors would be eating these tacos that are just unique, and I think probably people still know us as the taco guys. I'd be in the field getting calls, not about pest control, but about, hey, where'd you get those tacos? So we just got I don't know. That's how we started it.
Yeah, kind of a lucky break, but also luck is about putting yourself in a position where you can take advantage of it, right? And so by you joining BNI, being in that position, and then going above and beyond,
where opportunity meets preparation. That's what luck is. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
So fast forward a few years, after as these guys are growing, what else have you guys done? Like, how have referrals been your number one? So was there anything that you did proactively when it came to a referral program, or putting it in the customer's mind? Like, hey, can you think of anyone else who might use our services?
It's funny you asked that, because we really haven't at this stage of the game, but literally we're having a tough October right now, which is like October. In 20 years, since I've been measuring, my own or partners, all that, October has always never not been the biggest month of the year. And so we thought that would be the case this year, and it's just not. And so we've been very, very passive in our advertising, waiting for reviews to come or referrals to come. We do have some incentives internally for our team members if they get reviews and stuff like that, but pretty passive. And just this last couple of weeks, considering how to be more active, and I have some good ideas, but just a fun and challenging environment, I would call it.
What are some of the ideas you guys are throwing around?
Just enhancing the customer experience by better follow-up. I think that's the key to it.
Is there anything in particular that you guys have been doing over the last 10 years that is special to your company, whether it is follow up, a specific way that you communicate with customers? Is it purely just high quality service and do good work, do everything as a operator is told, or is there anything you guys do to go above and beyond, or that's special to premium that maybe other pest control companies don't do?
I'll tell you, it might be semantics, but I think not trying to put 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag. I think it goes back to setting realistic expectations. That is so big in our world. Like, I'll give you an example of our rodent contract, right? Our rodent contract says we might not fix your problem. We're going to do everything. We're going to do everything that we have at our resources, and including, I'm 2 steps away from some of the most knowledgeable rodent people in the world, if not the most knowledgeable rodent people in the world, but we might not fix the problem. I'll give you an example. We had one customer, and we did her, I don't know how many years ago, handful of years ago, we did her rodent exclusion, and recurring problem. And, and we told her, we go, have you ever had construction here? Is it possible that there's pipes in the walls that are open? Well, they moved the sink from here to here. And we go, well, you might want to get a plumber out to do a smoke test or something like that to see if they're, because we're not going to tear the walls open. We wouldn't even know where to begin. That's not our thing. But we tell people this could be happening. And sure enough, she moved out of the house and got tenants in there. And then it became real, right? Because when she was living in her own house and she had rodents, well, that's one thing. It sucks. She was very clean lady, very, like she didn't want to live with rodents. But when you got tenants in there, that puts a whole nother level of scrutiny on it. And sure enough, she got a company out there that did what's called a smoke test, where they plug up the sewer line and they put smoke in it. Sure enough, right where we thought that there might be an open pipe, smoke started flooding out. But see, that we would have, we as our termite and pest control, with our resources, we don't have access to that smoke test. We would have never found that. And that was the problem. So, but we set that expectation up front.
Yeah, so
I love that story, by the way.
Yeah. So setting the right expectations, right? If anything, under promising and over delivering as much as possible.
Yep.
Interesting.
Say no when you need to say no. Yep. All that stuff.
Yep.
And put it in writing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Put it in writing.
Yep. Get the signature.
Yep.
Is there anything else that, you would like to leave pest control operators with, strategy, philosophy, tactics that would help them, grow the company? I mean, you've already shared some valuable lessons here, but for a pest control operator, maybe they're small, maybe they've got a couple trucks, and they're growing, but they want to, they want to move faster while delivering high quality service.
Mm-hmm. Packard's Law. Don't grow faster than your ability to hire and train the right people. I'll keep going back to the day I die. I think that there's a plethora of work. That's why I'm here. Like, I'm not worried about my quote unquote competitors. You know how we compete today? We compete on the review sites. I'm not worried about like getting Mrs. Smith's business. I'm worried about like who's better on Yelp right now, or who's better on Google. Yelp's our thing, but I know Google's like one of our KPIs is what's our average Yelp rating. Right now it's 4.87. We track it every single day. And you know how hard it is to get that thing to move 0.01%? Like, we've probably got 4 or 5 stars, and it's been at 4.87. I think my partner who tracks this says he thinks the next 5 star is going to get us to 4.88, which we'll have a party when that happens. But you get 1 star, and I'll bet you it drops to 4.86. I bet you dollars to donuts.
By the way, just brainstorming and riffing and having fun because I'm getting drunk for my tea here. I wonder if there's a tech service so that right after a service company such as yours finishes their the service that they delivered, if there's some way to like automatically keep on sending the person reminders until they confirm in some way that they actually left you a review, because that seems pretty powerful.
Oh, there's all kinds of that stuff.
There's all kinds of that stuff.
Yeah, all kinds of that stuff. We just haven't found it effective. We're number one in termite, but one of our competitors now we have 269 reviews and they only have 80, but their average star rating is higher than ours right now. And I want to rip their head off, like that bugs me. I'm ready. Let's go.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended.
Cool. Okay, Morgan, do you have any more questions?
This is inspiring me with ideas. It's making me think your competitor, we can go find his unhappiest clients and encourage them to leave reviews.
No, I don't want, that's not the game we play. I don't want that for my competition. So I don't do it to our competition. That's just, I was active in PCOC for many, many years. And when we put that orange oil on the radio, we really became the bad boys in the industry. And I don't, he's still my best friend, which is so rare, to come out of a failed partnership and still be able to be friends. In fact, my partner, Joey, is from that era too. So we're just so fortunate that we're able to see that we're not always right. I think that's so important. I guess that's some advice if you have partners, because I've been in many partnerships. I had that one. I actually owned a big giant mixed martial arts gym in Palmdale, and that was a partnership. And anyway, a couple things here and there, but we're not in business to be right. We're in business to satisfy a need and make money. So at the end of the day, that's what we do.
Cool. I love it. I appreciate you sharing your wisdom with everyone listening. And I'm sure this has been hugely valuable for them. So thanks, Jason, for coming on and hanging out with us for a little bit.
Yep.
This was fun.
Awesome. Good to see you guys.
Continue.